The real difference between very strong players and average players is how they handle their bad positions. And I will show you the one key principle of how to handle bad positions better and to turn them around to your favor. So we have a look at a game from the World Rapid and Blitz between Georg Meyer and Brandon Jacobson. And Black was in a bad shape here after the opening. White has this excellent outpost here on b5. Black can never really challenge it because playing c6 would just weaken the d6 pawn, and if Black would just trade off a knight which is coming to there, the a file would get open, the a5 pawn would be very weak. So Black has some trouble there, but also some trouble on the other side. This bishop is just incredibly passive, this knight as well, and White has a bit more space in the center. But, and that's a real skill, Black really managed to get out of this trouble very quickly and change the nature of the position. And that's the key principle which already the old masters have found out. When you have a very bad position, you should try to change the nature of the position in a very radical way. So when the position, for example, is very slow and positional and a maneuvering game, and you're just on the worst side of it, you should, for example, try to make the game more tactical, sharpen it, maybe sacrifice a pawn, but therefore get a lot of activity. And thus, it can turn around. I'm not saying it will turn around always, that's just not true, but it can turn around. Meanwhile, if you just do not steer the game towards some other nature, it just cannot turn around, because in the positional struggle here, Black would just be worse like all the time. So he really needs to try to change the nature, and he did it excellently with a very classical pawn sacrifice. So in the game, Black played pawn to f4, and this is a great move. At first sight, it seems like this pawn is just lost because it's attacked twice and just defended once. However, it's already a mistake to take this pawn, and it's not so obvious because that's what even happened in the game between the two grandmasters. So instead, White should just focus on some normal move like knight b5, not being provoked by this win of a pawn, and instead just keep the position solid, keep it close, try to improve slowly. But we will see how this excellent pawn sacrifice worked out. So Black took back, and after bishop takes f4, Black was already fine, no trouble anymore, as after knight h5, all the pieces come to life. This bishop is now excellent. Can also sit here maybe. This knight is also excellent. It might get access to the f4 square, or at least the knight is controlling the f4 square, and Black has a lot of activity. Actually, now the g2 bishop might be the worst piece on the board. So now bishop e3 happened, and after g5, Black really got some good hold onto those squares here in the center. All the dark squares, he can really let his pieces float there, and the white pieces there are kind of stuck. This knight here not really doing a lot, nowhere to jump, and going to the other side of the board is now no longer that attractive because there is some action happening in the center and on the king side. And actually Black won the game very quickly, which is of course also due to the fact that it was a blitz game. White really tried to quickly play for f4, as this is the ideal outpost for Black, and White wants to break it before Black is gaining even more control. But sadly for him, it just did not work out tactically, because Black had the great tactical shot queen to h4, pinning the knight because the h2 pawn is so vulnerable and Black is already winning here. Of course, it would not be necessary to win that quickly, but you can easily imagine how Black is just building up on this f4 square, just bringing all the pieces, for example, bringing the rooks, and White can never really get his extra pawn here in the center in motion. It's just not possible. Black has so good control, And even though being a pawn down, it does not feel like that. So let me show you the end of the game. Takes, takes, queen h4, rook f3 takes. Now white tried to regain the knight with some tactics, but black had the better tactics, knight e2, leading to a forced checkmate in 2 moves, queen takes, queen h2, and resigned. What would happen? King f2, only move, and bishop to g3, nice checkmate, king is really caged in, and black won the game. And this was all possible only because black really sharpened up the game with this f4 move, trying to sacrifice a pawn, opening up all the scope for his pieces. So let me know, did you know about this principle before? What's your thoughts on this? Any questions? Leave them in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.